Hello everyone, this is Dr. Pope, and this is a short video that's kind of an introduction to the concepts outlined in the book School and Society by Walter Feinberg and Jonas Soltis. Even if you're not using this book, this video I think will help to lay out one of the things that we're talking about in this course and lay out kind of the general idea about how schools and society are related. The major point of school and society is the idea that there's a significant relationship between the type of society that exists and the type of education that happens in that society. So for example, if you have a society that's relatively small, that's geographically limited, say everybody lives on an island, there's fairly tight connections between all the individuals and the families that live in the society, which could happen if the society is small. And the society primarily grows things, they're primarily agricultural, then the education that happens in that kind of society is going to be very different from a society that's much more diverse, that's much more spread out over a larger geographical area, and a society that is industrial. A large, diverse, spread out industrial society is going to have a different kind of educational system than the smaller, more insular, agricultural sort of society. So what we can draw out from this is the idea that, if we here in the United States live in an industrial, capitalist, democratic society, then those things, industrialism, capitalism, democracy, are all going to be a part of our schools. The schools we have in that kind of society are going to be different, and they're going to do things differently, and they're going to fulfill different sorts of needs than schools in other sorts of societies, or even schools in American society in the past, say before we became as industrial as we are now. One of the things I think is really important to remember when talking about the relationship between school and society is the idea that that relationship influences a lot more about schools than just what gets taught. It certainly influences the curriculum, that what gets taught, but it also influences other sorts of things, especially the organization of the school, how children are divided up, who runs the school, who tend to be the teachers, what the relationship is between the teachers and the people who run the school. All of that organizational stuff is heavily influenced by the type of society that the school is situated in. Also heavily influenced is the activities of the school. We tend to think of the primary activities of school as teaching and learning, hopefully, but the character of that teaching and learning activity has a lot to do with the society in which the schools participate. And also there are lots of other activities in school, from the literal extracurricular sorts of activities, clubs and sports and all that kind of business, but also, how students and teachers interact with one another outside of the classroom, how teachers interact with one another outside of the classroom, and all the other sorts of activities that happen in a school, from keeping attendance to transitioning from one class to another. All of those things, those school activities, the type of organization of school, the curriculum of the school, all of those things are influenced by the type of society in which the school participates. In turn, the society itself is influenced by what happens in the schools. At least that's the goal. And one of the things we'll see as we look at the history of American education is that schools are often the place where larger society is influenced. That is, we think that we can change a larger society by changing things in the schools, and then the kids will grow up in schools doing things a certain way, and when they leave school they will continue to do things that way in larger society, and then if enough people do that, then society itself will be changed. So one of the things to remember is that there is a distinct and intimate sort of relationship between the type of society that one lives in and the character of the educational system in that society, and that relationship is sort of a two-way street. One of the things we'll do in the remainder of the course, and I'll do some videos and podcasts about this, is look at the different ways of seeing that relationship, of seeing the relationship between what happens in schools what happens in society. Feinberg and Soltis give us three different ways of seeing that: functionalism, conflict theory, and interpretivism. And those are the three we'll focus on, as well as look at historical examples of how the relationship between school and society has played out here in the United States.